Why is it that your nonprofit isn't making any money? Well, we're about to talk about the top 3 reasons why most nonprofits aren't receiving funding. So if you're interested, stay tuned. All right, so the first reason why your nonprofit isn't making any money is because you need to stop making excuses. We know you don't have any money. We know this. When you're a brand new nonprofit, you don't have any money. We understand that. Funders also understand that. But you have to stop making excuses. You have to operate your nonprofit from where you are, which means no money, right? So make yourself visible within the community. If the community doesn't know that you're there, then you can't service them. I mean, it's the same thing when you have an LLC. If we don't know that you're there, then how can we use your services or even purchase any of your products? So you have to interact with the community. Let the community know that you're there. Start servicing people. There's a way that you can get around providing services to the community and still not have any money. Okay? When you are first starting out, please make sure that you're not making any excuses and that you are making your presence known in the community. Just let them know that you're there. One thing as nonprofits that you must do is think like the funders would think. So, if you were giving somebody money and this person or organization had no track record, had no proof of what they were doing was working, had none of the above, then would you give that person money? Would you give that organization money? So you have to start thinking like the funders think and not think so much as the nonprofit that doesn't have any money. Remember, we don't want to keep using those excuses, right? We don't want to keep these excuses floating around and letting that be the reason why you're not getting funding, okay? All right, reason number 2. And some of you are not going to want to hear this, but poor leadership. When you are first starting out, it's okay to say you don't know. I still don't know everything, but at least it's okay to say you don't know. Your board of directors are in place so that you don't have to travel this journey alone. They're there to help you. So if you as the leader aren't in a good position to lead the board of directors, then maybe you should seek out a mentor, someone that can show you how to become an effective leader so that you can train your board of directors. Also, there are many people out there that can also train your board of directors, okay? Everybody needs to be on the same page. Everybody needs to understand exactly what's going on with it. What is your mission? What are your goals? What are some of the milestones that you want to accomplish? You need to know all of these things. You have to have some things in place so that your board of directors will have something to work with, right? So it's okay to say that you don't know, but also you have to make sure that you have those persons on your board who are committed, who want to be there, right? And they also have to be people that you trust. And you don't always have to have judges and lawyers and doctors and nurses and these types of people on your board. It is always great if you can, but you need to have people that you trust and also people that are willing to learn, that want to learn, that are like-minded, that will be there with you in the trenches while you're getting that nonprofit built, okay? Another thing with your board of directors, why aren't your board contributing? You need money? So why can't your board kind of help with that? I'm just asking. Now, I'm not saying that your board of directors, have to give this exorbitant amount of money, but they should at least be able to contribute something so that the nonprofit can at least get started and moving forward, right? So, a committed board will also be a contributing board in some form or fashion. And don't forget about your fundraising. Your board also has to be connected to the community, which means you have to first let them know that you're there, but also start fundraising. And if you are not sure about how to fundraise, what it is that you should be doing to fundraise, then once again, you need some sort of mentor, someone that can help train not only you, but your entire board, okay? Now, the third, and really, in my opinion, the most important reason why nonprofits are not getting funded is because they're poorly organized, right? Once you receive your 501c3 tax exempt status for your nonprofit organization, then what? What are you going to do with it? What's the next step? You have to make sure that all of your paperwork, all of your planning, all of your prioritizing is in place. Let me give you a good example. Do you know the difference between an operating budget and a budget that is set aside for a specific program? These are two totally separate budgets. Now, you haven't made any money, right? But you still have a budget. You haven't made any money, right? But you still should know how much is it going to cost for me to operate this nonprofit on a monthly basis. And if you don't have those numbers at hand, or if you don't know how to come up with those numbers, then once again, you need to find someone that can help you do that. Because especially when it's time for you to start searching for grants and actually applying for grant funding, you need to know those numbers. You have to have those numbers in place. A lot of the nonprofits that I mentor, I tell them all the time, we all have heard of multiple streams of income, right? And everyone thinks that that applies to LLCs, partnerships, and that sort of thing, but it also applies to nonprofits. You should also have multiple streams of income. Your fundraising, contributions and donations, and grants. Do not put all of your eggs in the grant basket, because grants are completely competitive, especially right now. What that means is you can write the best proposal you've ever written in your entire life and still not get funded. You will never know who you're up against as far as the next organization that's requesting the exact same amount for the exact same thing, right? So you have to make sure that all of your background stuff is in place so that you don't run into any issues when it's time to actually apply for grant funding. Again, we are not putting all of our eggs in the grant basket, because these days they're not impossible to get. I'm not going to even say that they're difficult to get, but don't put all of your eggs in the grant basket. You have to make sure that you're getting donations and contributions, and that you're doing fundraising, and that you've got all of these things working together simultaneously for your organization. Now, another thing that I've been finding out that a lot of nonprofits are kind of having a problem distinguishing between is your program and services versus a specific event. If you're holding an event, that's just a one-time thing that's occurring for your nonprofit at the moment. That is not what your actual program and services are. So make sure that you know the difference between the two. If this is something that's going on for a program, if this is something that's going on for a specific event, or if it's your actual services that you're needing help with, okay? You have to be able to know what it is that you're doing in order for your program to have sustainability. One thing grant funders especially are not looking to do is to be your sole source of funding. If it's going to take $15,000 to run your program and you're asking them for the full $15,000, 9 times out of 10 you're not going to get it, because you are not showing that your program can sustain itself, one, after the grant funds run out, or two, if you are not given the grant funds in the beginning? So what is it that you're going to do in order to ensure that your nonprofit can sustain itself before, during, and beyond the grant funding? What strategies do you have in place? What are your goals? What are some milestones that you've set for the organization that we're going to do A, by this time, B, by that time, and to also have some things in place to ensure that these milestones are met on time? If you don't have at least one of those in place, then your strategy is either poor or non-existent. One thing that I do want to add is when getting that 501c3, right, you have to have some sort of program development in place. It's one thing to say, okay, I want to prevent homelessness. I want to get people off the street. I don't want families homeless, especially children. But how are you going to go about doing that? How are you going to effect change within your community so that you're starting to help put an end towards homelessness? It's one thing to say that you want to do it, but it's a whole nother thing to have those strategies in place that will ensure that you're on your way in order to getting that done. You have to know what to do. It's always a good thing to have collaborations with various social agencies within your community, which means your community needs to know that you're there, right? Okay, scratch record, I know, but I'm just trying to kind of emphasize that the community needs to know that you're there in order for you to impact change. That's what the whole premise behind a nonprofit is to impact change within the community. You see a problem, you want to change the outcome. You want to make sure that what you're doing is leaving some sort of footprint within the community so that they'll know that your organization did this, right? And if you can do it that first time, then it's just a repeat cycle. Okay, so don't allow your nonprofit to fall within these top 3 reasons as to why you're not getting funding. Okay, make sure that all of your background things are done first, right? That you've got your goals in place, that you've got your milestones in place, that you know your strategy, that your board of directors are understanding what it is that they need to do, and that you're not making excuses all the time. Okay, the type of person that always makes excuses are the same people who aren't doing much. Remember that. Okay, this is Shannon, and thanks so much for watching Shannon On Demand, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care of those nonprofits. Bye.